Okay, so today we had Juliet Allen on the podcast. She's a sexologist, a mother, and a fucking awesome person. It was a good pod. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah, she's very much herself. She's got one of the leading sexology podcasts in Australia and probably the world. She's got that queen energy. A lot of girls look up to her, and just very open about just the subtle things that guys aren't always so aware of in relationships, but also maybe what girls aren't so aware of with guys in relationships. It was cool hearing her experience, and just with no filter. Yeah,
no filter. And you can see why she's like so popular here in Australia. Yeah. So yeah, get on board, guys. It was a good podcast. The only thing that sucked is we couldn't go longer. Hold on a second. Hello. No. Welcome back to the podcast. Today we have Juliet Allen.
Hi, thanks.
Welcome.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool to having you on. It's so funny. Like as you were coming in, a client just came and saw me from Central Coast, and she flew here. And then I go, yeah, Juliet's coming. She's what, Juliet Allen? I was like, yeah. And she's like, I've listened to her podcast since like 2019 or something.
Yeah, I know so many girls. Like, a lot of my girlfriends you've helped like immensely through like sexual stuff, and just talking about it, like having someone that talks about it so honestly and openly, and it's awesome. You're doing God's work.
Yay. Yeah, God's work on Easter weekend.
Yeah, that talking about it though is the big thing. And there's Harry even listened, like there's guys that listen to your podcast, you know, which is unorthodox in, I guess, most male circles to even hear that side of things from females. But I think it's so cool hearing. It's like you feel like you're like in the women's lockers room or something. You're hearing like the inside gossip. Yeah, this is how they think. This is what, you know,
this
like
is what women want.
Like, we don't know this stuff, you know, or we
That's
don't.
True.
So it's really cool. And I guess that segues into like you're in a unique career. So how did that even begin for you? You know, and what do you reckon pushed you towards that?
The short version is I just loved sex.
Yeah.
And I'd go to my therapist and be like, how do I make a living out of this without, you know, becoming a sex worker? Genuinely, because I was like, I'd be really good at that. Yeah. But that just goes against all my values, and it isn't for me. And I at one stage I thought I was a bit of an addict, because I was like, I just love it so much that I can't, like, you know, I was going through all this therapy, and she was like, no, you're not an addict. This is a gift that you have to be able to be so open and honest about how you're feeling, and honest about, you know, how much you love sex and all the things. And so she was like, this is your gift that you have to bring to the world. It's just about figuring out how you do it. And then when I was younger, I studied psychology, didn't really love it, was at uni and was like, this is boring, but I'll do it. And then did a few different things, like taught yoga and became a doula and supported women through birth. And it all, like, all the women that I were helping were going through sex stuff basically. And, you know, birth is so interlinked with sex. So that was a big one. And then I found out I could study sexology at university.
Wow.
And I was already on the path of like personal development since I was quite young, but also learning a lot about sexuality and tantra and all those things, and really intrigued by it. So I went and did a master's in sexology, and as soon as I started, I was like, oh my God, I found my purpose. Like I was kind of trying to find my way through life, doing different things. And that brought me
That's cool, hey? It's like you could have easily gone the other way, hey, and just been like shunned for something that you feel so naturally your soul was guiding you to.
Yeah. I think the therapy really helped, because I genuinely was like, is there something wrong with me?
Yeah.
And she was like, no, you just need to find a way to like bring this as your purpose, you know, without just fucking about for the rest of your life. So I'd like worked through all that, and
how does that happen, like from a girl's point of view? Like, did you think you were always going to be monogamous because you were so into sex, or did you think that you would be poly, or did you think that there was, like, how do you go dive deeper when you love it so much? How would you dive deeper into that?
I definitely didn't think I'd be monogamous, no. I think naturally I always got into monogamous relationships and felt the safest being in them. But then in my periods of single life, which I've had a fair few big chunks of being single and just enjoying that, I questioned monogamy a lot. And because when I was in relationship, I always had like a bit of a wandering eye, like, oh, this is good, but what's better? Or, I was with guys and I was like, but I want to be with a woman. So then I got in a relationship with a woman. I was like, I miss the cock. I want to be with the guys. I was always like, I want what I can't have, basically. And so I explored polyamory in a big chunk between two relationships because I was like, okay, I need to like try this out. And it was good to a certain extent because it meant that I could be really open about who I was sleeping with, and I was very aware of who my lovers then were sleeping with, and there was a lot of open communication. However, I just felt it just didn't feel right. Like I didn't feel chosen, and I felt like the love was diluted in a way. I don't know what it was, but like when someone who I was in relationship would tell me they love me, but they just stuck their dick into another woman and then come and I just was like, it just didn't feel right in my body. So then I went through a lot of like questioning, oh, maybe this isn't for me. And then met Nick, who you guys are really close with.
Yeah, you met a very open human, hey?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
And but when I met Nick, I just like something was different about us and him. And I was like, I'm out. Like after our first date, I literally communicated with everyone who I was having some sort of relating with. I communicated with them and said, I've like met someone else and I want to end things. And it was just game on. And we've been monogamous ever since. And we had conversations around, should we open it up? Or at the start, and he was like, I'm open to it, but no, like I just want you and I don't want you to be with other people. And it was so nice to hear that after being with men who were like, oh, kind of want to just play around. And
oh my God, cockroach just crawled up the wall.
It did. A big one.
Oh, there's one in here, man, getting around. That's what Honey was looking at that video.
Really?
Right? Yeah. Okay. We need to deal with that.
So now Nick and I have been in a monogamous relationship for nearly 7 years, and like I haven't once thought, oh, like it's just different with Nick.
Yeah,
he's a unique man.
He is, hey,
and he's perfect for it.
I know.
Yeah.
I feel like he's so open, but like you'd feel so safe because even I feel safe thinking about him.
He's just such a. He's so unique, but he has so much integrity, and you can really trust him. But also, like within our relationship, we have pretty open communication around how we're feeling. Like I know he looks at other women. We're not going to pretend that doesn't happen.
Yeah, exactly.
I know he like looks at other women, but he's open about it. It's not in the shadows of like, no, like you're the, and yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that would ever stop. Like I think about it as a man, right? That would never stop, but it wouldn't have power. You know what I mean? It's a natural thing. It's like procreation. It's like it's I guess it's just part of a man's nature in some sense, but that's the integrity part of it, is being in control of that and just knowing that there's something better at home. You know?
Yeah, and we have a pretty at the moment our sex life has changed since the beginning because now we're parenting 3 children, 2 are really young. It's pretty full on. So we probably have less sex, but our sex life is really amazing. And so we get to bring in fun ways of relating that allow us to explore semi outside, but it's all just within. It's
that's cool. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah,
that was going to be my question. Like how, because you see, I guess the typical, I don't know, like older relationship that aren't very open or talked about these things, right? That they have a child and then it's almost like the death begins. Like they stop having sex, they stop doing things, all those sort of aspects. And I always wondered, like, why does the sex stop? Why does that spark Like, what do you think is the key to keeping the spark alive for as long as possible? And you can you say like the spark's still there for you two after 7 years?
Oh yeah.
And that ignites me up.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I look at him and I'm just always attracted to him. But there's not a moment where I'm like, he's not what he used to be.
Yeah.
Like, we're both aging and we're changing, like things are changing, but he just keeps getting better and better. And as a father, he's such a devoted father. As you guys know, he's so present. And that's attractive for a woman, is like a man who, values presence and connection with his children. Like that's hot. And so that, seeing him in this season of his life as a father brings like more of an attraction for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Definitely.
That's so inspiring, hey, because like I've known Nick for a long time now, and like I don't think I know anyone who's done more inner work on themselves than him. And you see it now. It's like just goes to show if you're ready to delve in deep into yourself, you can grow so much and grow so much for your partner. Like I know when you guys met each other, I knew it was a bit touch or go. It was hard. It's like, is he going to step up? You know what I mean, with the child thing, and it's like, and he did in the best possible way, and now he's like, just hit that man switch, and he's a father, and it's insane to see.
Oh, he's just amazing. Yeah, when we first met, we definitely went through all the like challenges because I'm a bit older than him, so I was like, okay, I want to have more kids soon because I don't want to be too old, and all the things. And also I was like, you're going to be the father of my kids. We're having a son. Let's do it. And he's like, whoa.
Fully.
He's like, hang on a minute. I'm still living in a bachelor pad,
fully.
And so he took his time because he wanted to be the best father possible. And I look back and I'm so glad that he didn't just go, oh, okay, this is what she wants. So I'm going to give that to her. He really honored like his timeline. And that was important because now it shows in the way he's parenting.
That's a good way of putting it. Like he didn't just do what you want, because then almost like you wouldn't be as attracted to him if he just did it like that, would he?
Oh, it'd be boring.
Yeah, I know.
It'd be so boring. Like I think about my previous relationships, and I've been in about 3 quite serious relationships before Nick. And they all just bowed down to me and basically did whatever I want, which sounds good, but it just ends in like me wanting to fuck other people basically, because I'm like, this is boring. You're just doing whatever. You're not standing up to me. You're not challenging me. You're not, So Nick's different. That's what's different about Nick is he really holds his own, and I'm quite a strong woman who has like it's sometimes a force to be reckoned with, but he's just like up for it. He's like, all right, we're not going down that path. I'm like, what? But I love manipulating. And he's like, not with me. So when you're ready to, have a good honest conversation about how you actually feel, then come to me. Like,
and you're like, fuck.
Like,
how good's that?
That's amazing.
He's so good he's so balanced at this is a fucking Nick podcast, but
I know.
Feminine, like that feminine. He's so in touch with his feminine, but he's also solid. You know, like you don't see weakness in him. I've never seen weakness in him yet. Which is admiring. I respect that. That's so unique. And how many relationships? Like I've heard that point of view you just said, and I'm aware of that because we've read enough of these books and my own experiences, right? But I think how much do you see it in others? Hey, other relationships, all the little things like the way they talk to each other, the little condescending comments, or he's like, "What do you want to do today, baby?" You know what I mean? Like, and it's I literally can see the feminine and masculine dynamic almost get too close to each other when it's like, well, who fucks who? You know what I mean? It's like, it's
wearing a mask almost. It's like the person's acting like how they think they want, and they're acting how they think they want, but they're not actually really opening up.
Yeah,
I see that. It's super common, and I've been guilty of it.
Sure. Yeah, fuck.
Yeah, I like to manipulate.
It's I think what are you referring to, like this day and age where you're both in a way being the man in a relationship, and we both want so much equality, and so that
I see
is
it.
that what you're
I was
about?
thinking more. I see it more as the guy becoming the the feminine.
Yeah.
And then the girl stepping up to the man.
Yeah.
And then her slowly becoming repulsed by him without realizing this is what I wanted. I want him to do this. And he's like, this is what she wanted, you know? But instead of staying on your path and just doing, I feel like if you stay on your path, the universe just does it all for you. It's this weird thing. Like it's, yeah, that's what I think of it like that. I think of, in my perception of men becoming more feminine, and I always wonder why, because we know literally testosterone's going lower, so we know that. But why do you think that is? You know what I mean? Why do you think men are stepping into these more feminine roles and it changes the relationship dynamic so much? And for me, that would kill the all sexiness of the dynamic that I would like. You know?
I'll tell you why, I think. Because women in 2024, and this has been going on for years, we want to be independent. We want to be the businesswoman, the fucking entrepreneur, or the leader in our career. We also want the children. We also want to be really good at cooking and all the things. We also want to make shit tons of money and be on equal. We want to be on this equal kind of level with men, and that comes from, you know, the rise of feminism and all that. Which I think that's another episode. My views on that, but I think what it has done to the dynamic of relationships is we need polarity. Like we need someone to be in the masculine and someone to be in the feminine, basically. But let's just call it yin and yang. There needs to be some sort of polarity. But because women want to be independent and be so like, well, I'm equal and all those things, it kind of creates this like, someone's got to go into their feminine. Someone's got to kind of, it's like this competition almost amongst couples now of who can be bigger, who can make more money, who can be in the limelight more. And so there's nothing wrong with women wanting that, but I think it definitely has changed the dynamic in relationships in general over the years. And then sex lives just go to shit because if there's no polarity, there's no sex, or it's just shit sex.
Yeah.
So
yeah. What's like a big polarity? Like how does that look? Like a big polarity, I guess, like in yin and yang or male and female. Like, yeah, it does. That does make a lot of sense. Hey, it's like one has to be really like strong, and then the other has to be surrendered, but not too surrendered. Do you think the best relationships are like what, like you were saying before about you and Nick, like how he can put you in your place and you can put him in his place? Is that the perfect dynamic, or is the dynamic more like one's more surrendering, one's more?
I think there needs to be this is quite traditional, but like a leader in the relationship. So Nick would be potentially leading us. Like I am quite strong and know what I want and all that. So it's quite a tussle. There is a tussle there with us, like that where I want to be, you know, the leader and he wants to be the leader, but we're very aware of it. So I have very consciously as his partner, in a way, like just softened more because I come from a background where my mum taught me like independence is the best thing. And then I became a single mum. So I was like, fuck, I need to make a living for my daughter and I for years. So I had to step into that mum and dad role. But yeah, with Nick, I've consciously softened and am very aware that if he can like energetically take the lead within the relationship, then it has a really great impact on us and our sex life.
Cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, I think it's more an energy thing, not like a
yes, 100%.
Well, you know, you make the decisions.
Yeah.
Today,
you're cooking today.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. Fuck, it's such a multi-varied equation. Like relationships are just so not black and white.
Yeah,
No.
it's like people like, you know, you get the experiences of say I can think of say a friend or whatever where he'll always end up in the same type of relationship, always the same type of dominant chick and always that passive. But I feel like you can have another guy end up with that chick and he'll switch up the polarity and she'll drop into a feminine energy. You know? So a lot of the time I like the feeling of I can't say we control everything, right? But like how can I describe this? Like that we've got more power than we think, and that you can in your relationships, if you're that energy, you can set the way. And if you're solid with it, they'll come along for the ride and drop into their feminine energy and be happy, or they won't. but it's like it's something I haven't really had to deal with too much personally.
Yeah, I guess you attract what you need, eh? You attract the partner you need to do the growth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah. You always level up, eh? You always level up in your awareness of what happened and self-reflection of all pain in life, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think relationships are the greatest learning.
Yeah, they're like the greatest spiritual fucking journey ever, a relationship. It's just every relationship is different, like you said, Jake. And I think our partners are the medicine that we need in this stage of our life, and, you know, whoever we're choosing to relate with. And it just can bring up so much shit, but it's just like the ultimate personal development journey.
Yeah,
is relating with
nothing
others.
triggers you more.
Yeah.
Nothing triggers you more. I've been out on my lawn smashing a guitar, like stuff that I just wouldn't do. It's like, you know what I mean?
You lose yourself, eh?
Yeah, you lose yourself because, and I'm so grateful for that, because that's where I want to go. I want to grow. You know?
Yeah, you look like, I remember Jake, I've had one relationship, like proper relationship, right? And Jake sort of told me at the start, it was like, yeah, man, like everyone gets got at some stage, like, you know, you generally, if it ends up going downhill, he calls it, you're in the bucket and you can't see out, right? And I was, in my head, I was so like, nah, like I'm solid, you know what I mean? And
yeah.
And
this one's different.
Yeah, and then it just happened, like it slowly happened over, because it was long distance by the end, so it happened without it even being there. So there was so much energy come into play of like, oh, I wonder what this is happening, or what does this message mean? Like all these little Western technology ways that can infiltrate your relationship. That's sort of what it did. And I look back on myself in that mindset of, who was I? Like that is so, I look at it like a different man completely, you know what I mean? And it was a couple of years ago, but like it made me grow so much, and it pushed me, I reckon, even more into masculinity, but that was where I needed to be for that stage of my life to build what I wanted to do, what we're doing now, you know, because I feel like I needed that push.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So the universe does it for you.
Yeah.
And when you met Nick, or even your past relationships, did you have him written down on a piece of paper or anything? Like, this is the sort of guy I want. And did he come in, or did the universe say, oh no, you don't want that, you want this?
Oh, I always have a list if I'm single and if I'm ready to manifest my next relationship, like intentionally. I just find it so fun writing a list of every single thing that I want. Like I'm talking like everything. And this is what I talk to clients about who come to me single. I'm like, write it down. They're like, oh, what do you mean? I'm like, everything. Like, what do you want in your ideal partner? And so I wrote a list for Nick. I fucked up in my relationship before and I wrote the list, but I didn't put the gender on there, and I ended up with a woman. And so that was a really big journey for me, but not what I just can't, that just wasn't right for me.
Yeah.
And so for my next list, I was like, all right, like a very specific penis.
Yeah.
Like there needs to be a penis. And I had all these things like has a really close relationship with his mother, is on purpose, wants more kids, doesn't want to vaccinate his kids, all the things. Like I was like so specific because I'm like, I can't fuck this one up because I'm like ready for that next, next stage in my life. And he just walked on in maybe like a month later. Yeah. Dropped into my DMs. I was like, he even has tattoos. Like I put that on the list.
What was his opener? Do you remember?
Yeah. I put up a story.
So good.
And it had what band is it? I should know. This is like our song. Fuck, I forget. Anyway, he said, right. Is that BJ something?
Yeah.
And all I saw was BJ and was like, who is this guy? And he was referring to the music, and I wrote back and said, I don't know what you're referring to, but if you're talking about BJ's, like, I just kind of just made a joke about blowjobs. And he was like, oh, I wasn't talking about blowjobs. I was talking about the music, but hey, I'm Nick. And then
that's sick.
Yeah, and so we kind of had a tiny bit of banter back and forth, and then he was like, let's take this out of the DMs. What's your phone number? Let's have a coffee, like straight to it.
Nice.
And
yeah, that's
Fuck, how good's that?
Yeah.
Emotional intelligence. Just like,
Yeah.
all right, let's move to the next stage.
Which I really respected because
Yeah.
I hate fucking about
yeah.
DMs or like the dating apps and all that. I'm like, yeah, I'm just like, let's cut to the chase.
It can be very clear too, I think, like for people listening, like I think you can be very clear on these apps and stuff. You don't have to play games. It's like if they're playing games, they're probably not the right people. It's like, hey, this is what I'm about. Let's move forward with it or not. Fuck off.
The thing I don't like about the app so much is that it takes away the, does he like me? Does she like me? Because they've already liked you. You know what I mean? I like that little bit of
They've
spark.
liked what you look like.
Yeah, well,
Based
they've
on-
already initiated that instead of it being the curiosity of just a conversation, and then it's different. It's a whole different feeling behind that compared to like if some dude likes some chick, she already knows, oh, he's into me. Like now she's just got some attention, right? But if it's like happens at a coffee shop and you're just talking, it's like, oh, I wonder if he likes me. Like, and it's this whole. I love that. You know, I like that.
Yeah, I like the energetic feeling though of like when you meet someone or you're talking to someone and you're feeling so much, you know, like that energy of like at the coffee. Like I'd prefer the coffee shop, but I haven't.
Oh,
been
of course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't been on a dating app.
In person, it's like you need to see their energy. You know?
Yeah,
You need to talk to them at least. My rule when I was on Tinder was don't swipe right unless you're like a full body yes to that person. Like if you're just like, I don't know, maybe. It's like, no, just left. Like, fuck it.
Yeah.
But then as soon as you make contact with them, initiate a phone call. And now like the next generation, and I sound old saying the next generation, but they're like, what do you mean a phone call? I'm like, a fucking phone call. Get on the phone and talk to that person. So I would initiate that. And if the guy was like weird about it, I'm like, nah. Because I wanted to feel them at least before I met up with them. And I don't want to waste my time. Like I learned the hard way with this one too. Just like rocking up thinking I was rocking up to a really hot guy. And then he opens his mouth and I'm just like, oh, God. Like.
What was the ick?
G'day, Shaz.
Can you describe the ick?
Just a young kind of nothing good to talk about. Just at a different phase in life that, you know, really good looking, but nothing there. You know that with women.
Yeah.
You can have a fucking hot smoking woman and then she opens her mouth and you're like,
yeah,
there's nothing much here. But like you say, Jake, the energy needs to be there too. So it's like at least you can get that a bit on the phone and then meet up and figure out whether there's some magnetism there, you know.
Yeah, Callan said a good point the other day about the voice and the even just like film yourself and be like, hey, nice to meet
I'll
you.
FaceTime because I want to hear him and talk and whatnot.
Yeah.
But I'll send like a voice memo instead of that.
That's better.
Oh yeah, that's
hot.
Yeah, because I just want to. Then they voice memo back. They feel more connected. It's like it's quicker. Too much time. You know?
That is so good, eh? That is so good.
I reckon for all the guys listening, that's a game changer tip, right?
No, the voice memo. That's a really good idea.
Yeah,
I don't think they were a thing like 7 years ago or 8 years ago
true.
or 9 years ago when I was single. But like they were, but they weren't. Like now, everyone's voice memoing. Back then, it was a phone call.
Yeah.
When you were young, like, you know, like not that young, but like, where am I going with this? No, when you were young, because like when I was young, I was like really sexually confused. Like I didn't know whether I was gay or what. Like, was that like what it was like for you growing up as well, or were you just like, I like guys?
I don't think I questioned it much, although a lot of my early sexual experiences were with women.
Yeah.
Like, but it just felt so normal. Like you do a sleepover and you go down.
I know so many chicks that do that. Yeah, that is. I feel like that is normal.
You're like, is that normal? As it's coming out of your mouth.
That's what I said. I was like, yeah, I hope mum and dad aren't listening to this one.
No,
they probably will be though because they're big fans. Sorry, Dad. Yeah, but like pops. That was normal. But I didn't really question it. I know I did kind of one of my friends in high school, we had this thing and then she kind of there was a rumor going around school that she was a lesbian and I instantly tapped out of the friendship because I was like, fuck, does like that mean if people find out, you know, we've been hooking up, does that mean I'm a lesbian? So there probably was a bit of like I don't want to be labeled that either. But I just was experimenting and, you know, I think it's different for women too. Like it's kind of hot to like be like, yeah, I hooked up with this chick or kiss another woman in a nightclub and all the guys are like, woo!
Yeah. It'd
like,
be hell weird if we were staying over and just sucked each other off.
It's definitely less normal. It's less normal.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just was experimenting. And then when I got into a relationship with a woman, I knew I wasn't a lesbian. I guess I identified as bisexual, but looking back, I think I was just curious, and now I'd say I'm more heterosexual.
Yeah, that's cool.
You know what I was thinking about the other day? Like, because girls, when you look at like the younger girls coming up, it's almost archetype of like Gold Coast chick. You know, it's getting like more and more like that, I feel like. And I think most guys don't want that, but they get tricked into thinking they do because they sleep with them, you know? And it's like, it's a weird thing. I self-reflect on it. It's like, oh yeah, like that girl, she looks sort of like somewhat fake, right? And I'd still sleep with her. I'd still go on a date with her, but I wouldn't jump into
her.
I wouldn't marry her. Yeah.
There's a difference,
I wouldn't go in a relationship
Yeah.
with her. And
So
I
true.
think these girls get tricked into thinking that's love and this is what I need to be. But then they're in these in and out of these relationships. Same guy, fucking cheated on me. This. Because they don't actually know what we want. And we don't even know what we want. But when it's time to come down to it, we know we don't want that. But then they will get some guys that will want that. But then it's generally the archetype of this guy that's going to be, you know, he sort of looks similar.
But you're talking in general. Is this your experience? Like you've been attracted to like?
I'm talking from my experience and experience of males that I know, I've grown up with, and pretty much my whole experience in life. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where I'll still hang out with that girl and go spend a night with her, but I don't want to. Even the dialogue will let me know real quick in that night, like, oh, okay, I can't talk to this girl too much with depth and that. But then you've had experience with these other like beautiful women that aren't so fake, and you could marry them.
Yeah,
you know
for
what I
sure.
mean. But the movies and the songs and that trick these other girls.
I get what you're saying. Yeah,
and thinking that they need to do this for love for men, and because social media, like it's probably social media with that. But I've always wondered, like, do girls know what guys want? You know what I mean?
Well, I think that's why like your podcast is so good and things like that. It's getting them to come out of their shell and be like, hey, I can be loved without makeup. I can be loved for being who I really am instead of having to follow the media and all this new shit. You know what I mean? Because it's getting further and further away from soul.
Yeah, it's becoming harder and harder. Like my eldest daughter is nearly 18 and she's just on TikTok 24/7. Like
really?
Her bedroom's just like like, and I'll just open the door and she just like it's so sad in a way. But so she has all these images in her head all day long of what she needs to look like and be like. And the same for me. Like even, you know, at my age, I see other mothers who are like, you know, looking so hot and young and this and that. So like whatever age or stage we're in, we're always going to be comparing as women. So yeah, I think it's getting trickier and trickier to like bring it back to like something greater than just our looks and
something more fulfilling. Hey, it's like, because like we're all going to get older, and I feel like I've dealt with the anxiety of getting older and looking uglier and all that kind of stuff, and I feel it's just such a scary feeling. But when you really, like, what does Ram Dass say? He says, don't fear appearances, you know? Don't alter your inner, don't prolong the past, don't invite the future, don't alter your innate wakefulness, and don't fear appearances. And he's like, there's nothing more than that. And when I think about especially the don't fear appearances thing, I feel really like at ease with it because we are going to get older. It's inevitable, and it's like,
and the people that own it fucking own it.
I know the people that own it. It's like
you respect them.
It. Like whatever, I'm getting older.
Yeah, and
that's so attractive, and that's attractive.
It. Yeah,
you know what I mean. But fuck, it is hard. It's like
tough.
I shouldn't say it's hard, but it's a work in progress for a lot of us. I think. Yeah,
I think so. Definitely, it's a work in progress for everyone. I'm definitely like in the thick of like, fuck, I'm not that like hot 25-year-old anymore. Like I have been for a while, just being like, oh, I remember I said to a friend once, I just don't want to look like a middle-aged mum. And she's like, babe, you are. And I was like, fuck, I'm a middle-aged mum. Like I'm in the middle of my life, you know, 41, I've got 3 kids, I'm a middle-aged mum. But like it was like a real like, a bit of a wake-up call.
True.
But everyone goes on their aging journey, and you know we're all in it. But I'm definitely in it. I'm like, fuck, I'm getting no sleep with 2 kids. I am getting more wrinkles by the day. But then I also go, okay, remind myself when I'm like, how can I look younger? I remind myself of the women who I look up to, and I love having women who are older than me in my life because it's just great to have elders who can guide me and mentor me. And the women who are women who are genuinely aging gracefully and just really owning it. Yeah. And they're still like highly sexual, beautiful, sensual women, and they're like letting their grays just grow out, and they're like just so beautiful in that, and that's sexy.
That is so sexy. I find that hell attractive. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I just remind myself of that. Like,
yeah, and maybe that's what it is. Sexy. Maybe it is. Maybe that's all it is just like reminding ourselves, like I'm 34, about to be 35. Like I'm at that stage now where I'm starting to be like, okay, well, I'm getting on the later end of 30. Like what? Maybe it's time to, I've already hit the man switch, but maybe it's time for the next man switch. Maybe it's time to step up and have kids or get into that older stage of life and stop fucking around and being young, or thinking I'm young, thinking I'm younger than I am probably.
Yeah. And, when that happens, like I know you're in a relationship right now, right? And for you, Callan, you're not?
No.
But when I think we attract in people that mirror where we're at in life. So these like so-called like Gold Coast girls, I know what you're referring to, but that's like what, when you'll notice that there'll be a change when you step up into more of like your kind of, I don't know, your next stage of life as a man. It will change the type of women who you're attracting in or who you do find attractive, I think. Like when I was in my early 30s, I was still like attracting I always had this thing for younger guys. I mean, Nick's 6 years younger, so like, but younger, younger. And I took that to therapy. I was like, why am I attracted to really young guys? And she was like, well, because firstly, you're trying to like ignite that young energy within yourself, and that's what you need more of just in your life. But also that's just where you're at. Like that's where you're relating is with younger guys. Once you step into more maturity as a woman, then you'll begin to attract in more mature men into your life. And so
I fully agree. That's so true. I reckon like the more inner work you do, and that's who you're going to attract, because you attract a whole different partner.
And can I just say that calling you guys out, you guys are using the word girls. So if you want a woman, start saying woman, because the more you say, I'm hanging out with these girls, it's like you're just going to get girls. You can still get a woman, like a mature woman who has that playfulness and that youthful energy, but you really like, I know where you guys are at in your age and all that. I know that really deep down you guys want a woman in your life who's like, I'm a fucking woman and I've got this, and I can, eventually parent your kids and be an epic mother. But until you start saying woman, this is
for sure.
I just noticed it's like
100%.
You guys don't want girls anymore.
No,
you can fuck a girl, but it's not going to be like, maybe it's fun for a night, maybe her ass will be really tight and nice big tits, whatever, but in the end
it's like, empty.
It's like it's not going to bring you what you're seeking at this stage in your life.
It's like we've been through that, and I'm aware of that too, you know what I mean? Like I wrote down
did you write a list?
I wrote down a list recently, right? And I said within a year. And 2 weeks later, this girl came into my life, right? And she was exactly what I wrote down on the list. But this is funny because the story you said before. But I was like, but I didn't write this, and this, And that all matters to me, but I didn't think of it at the time. So I felt bad, because it's sort of like I was in. I was actually emotionally in, and pretty quick I pulled it out. I was like, it's because again, I want that girl. Like I know it's not for the rest of my life, so I'm not going to spend any more time in that situation. And I do currently feel like we're in the next year for personally, this year or two, it's like building phase. But yeah, you're right, woman, and I'm more towards the traditional. Like I have an inner feeling of wanting to provide, wanting to pay for everything and create where she can be in a feminine energy, because that's what attracts me. Highly feminine attracts me. So It's good that I know that now. It's so nice 'cause I didn't fucking know that shit like 2 years ago. Man, I never even thought about that. Like it was always thinking about just me, and now I'm starting to think about whenever that we is. But I'm also not actively like yearn and searching for it. I'm still thinking about other stuff, but I know it's always gonna. The universe is behind us always.
It is, hey?
Yeah.
It is. And you can still have that like young woman in your sex life. Like you just got to get into some like role play or something, and next minute she can be like, I'm not going into details about Nick and I's.
No, yeah,
because
for sure.
she'll just be like, why the fuck did you tell me that? But like you can like play with the energy, you know? Like you can, you know.
I just pictured him in a little school bag and a schoolboy outfit.
Yeah, no, like that's not.
That's
I'm not
too
into
young.
that anymore. Like I'm not into the young guys anymore.
Yeah,
like
no.
so that's, but yeah,
It's so
when
true.
we're not recording.
But this is good to talk about. Like even the thing about the women and the girls thing. It's like, yeah, that's so true. It's like if you want a woman, manifest a woman that's going to be open and honest and fucking all that shit. But then you've got to step up and be a man too.
Yeah, you can't expect to meet a woman if you're just going to be in that boy energy for the, you know.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's what we've both definitely gone through over the last, well, for me, for sure, over the last 10 years, it's been a journey into that. And my inner child is so strong. It's like, but I'm getting more aware of that now. And it's like, it's cool. It's cool. Growing up and getting older is fun.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I don't think it's better, eh?
Yeah, I feel like in my 30s was like, when I hit 30, I was like, fuck yeah. Finally, I can fucking be me.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck, 20s sucked, man. I was just like, didn't know who I was, so insecure and just so reactive and just like, it sucked.
Yeah.
And you're on, it's cool that you're with Nick because you're on your health journey as well also, hence why you'll age gracefully, you know?
I was going to mention that. Like, I think that's, you know, as long as like, I always remind myself, okay, I'm doing everything I can to take care of my health. And I think I could be definitely could be moving more. So that's my kind of next thing is like, okay, I need to up the movement and not keep the excuses of like, yeah, but I've got a baby and I've got a toddler and, you know, life's busy. But I think that's attractive too, right? You guys are in the industry. Like a healthy older woman is so attractive.
It is,
like their skin is glowing.
Yeah.
Their body, yes, it's aging, but it's still like just there's like an energy about it.
Yeah, it's the energy.
You know?
Hey.
It's like it's glowing. It's not just this dull kind of grey.
Fully.
You know.
Oh, dude, yeah, 100%.
For me, it represents longevity. Like I see them moving and doing that. I'm like, oh, sweet. That means they're going to do that when we're old and we won't have this life of pain. I think like that. I think like sometimes it's 40 years into the future. I'm like, oh, this person's not doing it now. They're probably not going to do it when they're 60, you know? So these are these little things that pop into my head.
Yeah.
Because I'm so into it. And it's like, I'm so passionate about it. And I want someone that's going to want to train with me. Like, I'll train you for free. You won't have any pain for your life. I'll sort you out, you know? Just jump in. Like,
fully, hey.
And that's what I need.
Yeah, and you've been under health. I remember you got me on your libido Alexa, like way before I started.
That's right, dude. I remember
Corrective,
that.
and
What,
it changed
the
my
cacao?
life. Yeah, that
Cacao,
changed my
yeah.
life.
Oh, yeah,
like
that's
you were like, you're too stressed and yang. You need to get on my libido Alexa and just relax.
What is it again?
It's hot cacao, jing, coconut, maca,
Maca. What else is in it?
coconut milk.
Yeah, Coke, whatever.
Yeah, or whatever milk. Yeah, sometimes you have water.
Reishi's good.
Yeah, reishi. I had all the relaxing ones because your original one had reishi in it, and it was like I've toyed with a few since then, but it changed my life and it got me off coffee, and which I needed.
Yeah.
And fuck, it just changed my life. I felt so calm, and it's the first time I was like, oh, there is some supplements that work.
Fuck yeah.
It was like, it was crazy.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely there is.
Yeah, and I've given that to so many people now.
Yeah, I forgot
So
about that,
many.
man. Yeah, you gave it to me heaps.
Yeah, remember when we were making them a lot?
We'll
The
give you a
libido,
jar
that's-
queen when it's done too. I want to see. I want a female perspective
Yeah, I've heard about this.
of what it does for libido because it's fallopian tubes,
Like you need it.
fallopian tubes, uterine tissue.
I
and
do
liver.
at the moment. Like,
I
I'm not
do,
going
yeah.
to be honest. Like, my libido is definitely lower, but I think it's because I'm sleep deprived. Like, you know,
sure.
I've been
Yeah.
I'm up breastfeeding every night. And so naturally our body, like, our libido goes down to save us. It's like, don't you fucking get pregnant again.
Yeah, fully.
You're not
hey.
fucking that guy next to you.
Yeah, true.
But I just did an Instagram post about this morning. I'm like, the good thing about us is that it's natural as parents that, you know, for a lot of parents, you have less sex in these early years where you're literally up all night, you know, juggling the kids, doing whatever. But what's important is that when we do have sex, it's great. So it's like,
Yeah, quality over quantity.
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So good. Fuck, I love talking about this stuff because I feel like it's just not spoken about enough. And even on our podcast, I don't think we really speak about it, too much. Like,
Yeah.
it's been so awesome.
And how you're talking about like how there's that natural break. I feel like that's important. It's always been important for me in my relationship, I should say. But like, I was going to ships. But like, I think like a lot of the time, I'll find the female in your life will want it most nights, right? And
For you.
yeah. Well, in my experience, right?
I've had the opposite.
and
Before.
and because I was doing so much during that time, MMA and jiu-jitsu, I was feeling pretty, and I was scaffolding back then. So I'd scaffold, then I'd do like 3 hours of training, and I'd get home and I'd want it every second night to third night. Like I was just tired. I was like, fuck, I need to sleep, you know? But I liked that, and I still like that. Like every night, at the start maybe, but I like the break because then it's like it's more important. I feel like the guy's got to go hunting, come back with his meat in a few days, and then you celebrate instead of being together every single night, 7 nights a week. It loses its value, like anything loses its value over time. So that's
you can only sustain a nightly sex for so long. Like it's not. People come to me, they're like, "I want it every day. Help me." I'm like, "No, that's actually you." It's okay to not have sex every day. You know, I agree with you. It's more exciting when you don't have it every single day or 3 times a day or whatever. You've got to build that polarity up, especially when you're living together and, you know, parenting together and doing all the things for us. Like there needs to be some sort of magnetism that brings us back, and then there's fireworks rather than just like, I don't just want to like have quick sex every night just to have sex, you know?
Yeah,
that would be boring.
Is it more like, you know, would you say as you get older, you get more into like, because you've all done the tantric stuff, and like I know like tantric's a very long kind of thing where it takes like you got to breath up and you got to connect with each other and stuff like that. Like, is that like, would you say you'd rather have one good sex a week like that, or? Yeah, that's a dumb question, actually. There's all different types, isn't there? I just realized that as I was fucking saying it.
And Tantra isn't necessarily like just about, we're going to eye gaze for fucking 40 minutes and then we're going to do our belly breathing. Yeah. It isn't that. Like, that's the myth, is that first the myth is Tantra is about sex. And really that's not, it's energy, not. It's about like really embracing our sexual energy and bringing it into everyday life. But it's more actually about choosing with awareness what brings joy to every moment in our life. Like that's the biggest teaching that Tantra can bring to our lives, is like bringing more awareness and choosing things that bring more joy, which equals more pleasure, I guess, into our life. And then, but some of the kinkiest people I know are the tantric, like the people who've been in the, you know, teaching Tantra for years. There's it's not just like,
fully. It's like,
feel you. It's like, that shit's good for a bit, but like,
you need the ravisher, you need it all. Like it's,
so we definitely don't spend 40,
it's like
40 minutes.
I was fucking asking that question. You know, when you like realize you're asking a dumb question, you're like, I do it all the time. But luckily we don't edit the podcast. You can all just cop it.
Yeah.
I also got to ask, because you did the cleanse. Did you have any parasites? I just had parasites come out after Japan.
No, but I was very mindful because I'm breastfeeding, and I have been for what feels like years, but since June 2021, like
Holy
a long
shit.
time breastfeeding. I breastfed Sol till he was nearly 2, and then Magnolia was born. I weaned him gently, and then Magnolia was born 3 weeks later, and then so I've been breastfeeding. So I did the cleanse, but I didn't take the supplements. And the first time I did it, I was quite lenient with, like, I still allowed myself to have bananas, and so I could have a quick smoothie, because I was like, I know what I'm like if I don't have the quick things. Anyway, long story short, I did it again this year. I didn't get any parasites, but I wasn't really looking. Like, I know we're supposed to look at our poos. Like,
I think you feel it, to be honest. Like,
Yeah.
everyone always feels it. It's
Yeah.
like you know what a normal poo feels like.
right.
And the
okay.
reason you look is because you're like, I remember you messaged me about like, does everyone just shit in a sieve or something?
Because Nick said, brought out my favorite sieve that I'd invested in. Like, I was like, I'm buying a good sieve. And he was like, hey, you cool if I use this? And I was like,
God.
you're fucking kidding me. You're not using the like $40 sieve.
That is so fucking good.
Yeah. So I was like, yeah.
Yeah. No, you don't sieve it, eh? Like, some
No,
people-
like I've heard it every time, and like you were the same. It's like I've had it where I've been like, oh my God, something's wrong. I need to go to the toilet, and it feels like it's hurting. And then I've pooed, and I've shut out liver flukes once before at the start of the cleanse when I was on purge, and that's happened to me twice actually. But the first time I didn't realize, I was like, I bet you I had parasites then too.
Yeah, right.
Hell yeah. I
So-
guarantee got parasites. We all do, right?
For sure,
Like,
it's the infection.
guarantee.
The infection is the problem when it's when
I reckon it's just the ones, if you can like see the big ones, they're the ones that are the problem, like the visible
Yeah,
ones.
there's
We've
a
got little
lot of them.
microscopic things going on. But like when liver flukes come out of me, I was like, whoa, like I just saw slugs come out of me, you know what I mean? And then like hundreds.
pretty gross.
Just
eh?
from sushi in Japan. Yeah. So they were in me within 2 weeks and out of me within the 2 weeks. But
I love that we've gone from tantra to shit.
I know.
Like tantra to shit with slugs in it.
yeah. Well, it's almost like
Some people love shit.
yeah. I mean, how can you have sex if you're not healthy? You know, like or at least
Yeah.
like there's so many things. Like I think about candida, right? We spoke about this. I'm not sure we spoke about it in the potty man, but we've spoken about this personally. Is like some girls have had this experience, don't realize they have candida,
Oh yeah.
and it's like there's a smell. There's a smell,
Yeah, for sure.
and it's enough that I can never see this person again. You know what I mean? And they don't know that, and they probably thinking, I didn't hair, whatever. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm like, fuck, just because they don't know about just drinking energy drinks and all this sugar just feeds that sort of stuff. And it'd be the same for guys, like girls and guys' bodily areas. You know what I mean?
100%.
Oh,
yeah.
if you eat healthy and like you're as a guy, like your cum tastes tastes good. You can tell when a guy's been
True.
eating Maccas and drinking
Oh.
heaps. It's fucking disgusting.
Yeah.
It's like you're not going to
Even-
swallow that shit.
Yeah.
That is out.
Yeah.
That is
I,
out the mouth quick.
Yeah.
It's ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But a guy who eats really well, it's sweet. It's like
True.
there's a sweetness to it.
Yeah.
Same with women, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Like,
For sure.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah,
100%.
it's enjoyable.
a no-brainer.
Yeah. Comes enjoyable. Nah,
It comes to
but
So do the cleanse.
yeah, do the cleanse, buy the substance.
yeah,
Everything goes back to business, guys.
No,
Yeah.
but no, seriously, let's talk about the cleanse because I have got a lot of people onto that
Oh,
because
cool.
it
Thank you.
really does. Like I think at the start of last year in September, I did like a 30-day libido reset, just a free thing for people who were in my community without even knowing about what you guys were doing. Or maybe I did, but I was just sharing what I do, you know, and have been for years about once a year, like cut out sugar, cut out wheat, cut out dairy, you know, just kind of
Amazing.
clean my system. And so many people did it. And within a week, they were like, oh my God, my libido's up. I'm like, surprise, surprise. Like it really does affect us. And I noticed, you know, when I noticed when I cut all that shit out, I feel like sex more. Like I feel my sexual energy just like brewing up again and bubbling up to the surface because it's just, that's the way it is, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
it is.
Fucking oath, you want to procreate, and
Yep.
that like we are. Sounds like I'm trying to just sell our shit, but I'm really not. We did.
No.
I had King the other day, and
Here we go.
Yeah. No, here we go. Yeah, and
www.
I was like, man, I need to take the dosage down because I was like feeling almost too testosterone-y, too
Yeah.
I felt like I was like, fuck, this isn't good. Like I feel frustrated.
Mm.
Yeah.
that frustrated feeling's the worst.
I hated
too.
it. I was like,
yeah, no. You don't want
And yeah. Anyway, I won't go into more detail about that, but yeah, it's just like fucking
Yeah,
wild, eh? It's like,
Yeah.
but that's, I guess, if you're feeling healthy, and you shouldn't maybe feel like that, but you should feel, you know, sexual and like you want to procreate. Basically, it's nature's way of saying, hey, let's get moving.
I think the goal is we want to feel like turned on, and we want to feel like sex for like consistently until old age, rather
Yeah.
than just want to fuck for the sake of fucking and then it's like, let's have a longer term goal. Like, I want to be having sex when I'm 70 and 80. I know it's possible. Like, I know people in the Tantra community who have got greater sex lives than all of us put together, no joke. And they're like 70 something and they are rocking it.
That's sick.
And that's my goal, not just to like, it's like, that's my goal for health, is that I can have that lasting, you know, with Nick in our relationship for a long time,
That's
rather
amazing.
than just.
Yeah,
that's
a nice
awesome,
goal.
and that's friggin' not talked about too. It's like fucking oath. And my dad worked as a volunteer in the nursing home up in Harvey Bay, and he's like, man, it's crazy.
They're all getting down with each other.
It's a fuck fest in those.
Yeah, it is.
There's heaps of STDs.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, it's nuts.
Wow.
Yeah, because they're all just like, they're not chucking a condom on. They're just like they're like,
sure,
I'm dying anyway.
Yeah. Let's go for it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, it's like a friend, she's a nurse, and one of them, she walked in and he's going down on this 80-year-old chick. Like, in the,
Wait,
sorry.
the nurse was? Or
No, the nurse, one of the guys was one of the girls there and that. Like, they just make it happen. They'd be so upfront by that point too. Do you want me to go down? And you're like, okay. Like, they just wouldn't have any bullshit.
I'm going to turn you out, and then I'm going to turn around, and then
no games at that age.
Yeah, why not?
I know.
Yeah.
So good. I thought I'd give you a notice. It's 58 minutes, so we've gone 8 minutes over.
yeah.
So
It's at 11:29. So yeah, like great potty though. Like
yeah.
I
Thanks.
feel like we could talk for.
I know.
we could.
Like we've kind of skimmed over the surface of.
I know.
I know, you gotta-
and then
feed your baby, but we definitely it'd be cool to do it again.
Yeah.
And especially if you end up here, it'd be like it's like the hub, you know.
Yeah, I'd love to be
I'd
back.
love to have you guys closer.
Yeah.
It might get a bit annoying though. He's
And-
here again.
Yeah.
Oh my god! Fucking Jake's coming up the driveway again.
We got to do a potty with both ears too.
Yeah, that would be fun.
That'd be
Yeah.
really
We can
fun.
definitely do that.
Yeah.
So when the little one's a bit older.
Yeah, I reckon. Yeah.
And where can people find you, and what's next for you at the moment with everything you're up to business wise?
Okay, good question. I was just chatting to Nick about this yesterday. I was like, alrighty, what next? Right now I'm focusing on just selling pleasure wands, to be honest, which are the crystal pleasure wands that just fly off the shelves, and they're my bread and butter basically in business.
Yeah.
So that's my focus right now. That and just being a fucking awesome mum and partner. And I have a pleasure school, which is like I launched that, or I open doors to that a couple of times a year. So I'll open that again in June. But yeah, I'm not doing too much in my business right now. Just wrapping up a mentorship with 8 women, and I kind of fly by the seat of my pants with business while I'm in the thick of motherhood.
And the podcast? Or?
Oh yeah, the podcast's still going.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like it's all coming out.
there's
It's
a
like,
lot. There's a
I've
lot,
actually got a lot going on.
Like actually, yeah. So the podcast is only once a month at the moment because I'm at full capacity with just a few other things.
That's cool.
But I'm hoping to record again, like get into a studio and just smash out heaps of episodes, which is what I find the best way to do it.
Yeah, well,
But yeah.
this is here for when you're here. This is the same mic Joe Rogan has, you know. So that's all.
Yeah.
Whoa.
It's that's why.
time.
Yeah, we don't fuck around here.
Yeah.
I didn't know any of that shit. Actually, Jake just
Of
sussed
course,
it all
it was
out.
Jake.
It's like get this Sony AS. I ended up myself getting some. How much was that camera do? Like $7,000. I just did not use it at all.
Yeah, Harry's using it.
Yeah, Harry used my computer and shit. I was like, fuck it, at least it's getting used.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Well,
That's great.
yeah, thanks for coming on, Juliet.
Much love. Thank you.
Yeah, it was
Welcome.
great chat. But yeah, we'll definitely do it again and do a little couples interview next time. And glad we got you in by yourself though. I
Yeah,
wanted to
that
do
would be fun too.
Yeah. Much love. Thanks for listening, guys.
Thank you.
See you next time.